I'm here again with 5 new character eyes that I want to talk with you about. And stay till the very end to see the mystery character. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lothalan, otherwise known as Andrea. You can just call me Andrea. I am a professional illustrator, and in this series, I show you how to convey personality and character through just the eyes. It is an essential part of character design and something that I spent years learning and am now passing on to you. I will not mince words though, so I will just dive right into it. Here we go. Bob the banker. How do you feel about bankers? What traits seem important to you? For me personally, I think they are supposed to be capable and trustworthy people because they're handling all your money and your financial information. So that's what I'm going for. And to convey that, I attempted to create eyes that seem steady, but also have a gaze where they carefully analyze you or the situation. The spectacles are so he can tilt his head and look at you clearly and carefully and kind of sum you up. He's very simple and clean and symmetrical and kind of almost looks like an owl or something. Deidre the dancer. For the dancer, I was inspired by a swan, and you probably guessed it, particularly the ballet Black Swan in the film with Natalie Portman. And I don't really have a lot of familiarity with dancers, so I think this is why I drew from that experience of watching the film. So I gave her a nose that reminded me of a curvaceous swan neck and eyes that were reminiscent of wings. And I'm going to be super cheesy and say I wanted her to be both fragile and strong. So that's why I gave her those really strong, dark eyebrows and the beautiful eyes to go with it. The hairdresser. Conveying a hairdresser is actually quite challenging because what does a hairdresser look like? So I thought about my hairdresser and the ones I've had in the past. And again, if you're not sure what to do for a drawing, always, always, always pull from reality and experience. So I wanted someone stylish and strong and capable. So I gave her crimped hair, thick fake eyelashes. I will toss some eyeshadow in there later. And I also gave her very well manicured brows with a deep arch to them. And I almost wanted it to look like it was a laminated brow. Hairdressers help other people look their best, so usually they try to present their best image to their clients as proof of concept. But not just that, they're friendly because they're in the people position. They have to please their clients. So hopefully she comes across as such. Rod the racer. Ruby Rod. For this one, I happen to know some people personally who drive professionally and they also drive race cars. And from my experience, they remind me of boys who just grew up but are still boys at heart, like a boy in a man's driving jumpsuit. So I wanted to convey that feeling in a race car driver. I wanted him to be mature face, but still a bit mischievous and innocent. So the trustworthy eyes comes into play again, the aquiline nose, and I wanted him to seem very focused on his goals, very simple, not too complicated. And in the end, they're just focused on the finish line anyway, right? So one-track mind, they don't need too much on their mind. And I also wanted him to look like he would wink at you as he drove past at 200 kilometers an hour. Akimbo the Psycho, the only one of all the others who doesn't have a name starting with his description. So it ends in the description though. We have the O sound. And this one was really fun because I went with a combination of Mad Eye Moody and Jack Nicholson. I wanted to convey someone who was cruel and unbalanced, and when you have two eyes that are irregular shapes like his are and they're not symmetrical, it automatically implies an imbalance because there's a physical imbalance. In this case, we're going for a psychological imbalance. And oftentimes when we think of a wide-eyed look in psychosis caused by anxiety and depression, it's something like this. So this person has the wide-eyed look paired with an aggressive grimace reflected in his other eye, and kind of just not the most balanced individual. Comes through pretty well. Well, he's not entirely human, to be frank. He is otherworldly, and so that means that we can use eyes that cover the entire sclera and don't look natural in the slightest, because an entire sclera being covered doesn't really exist in nature among mammals, anyway, that I know of. And it gives a sense of unnaturalism, which can be used to your advantage. So Hellions are mythological creatures, demonic in nature, and we went for an eye and brow shape that was impish in appearance, as well as a bit chaotic. And I know you're probably thinking, well, what makes it look chaotic? Well, the human brain works by association, and for me, I relate those sorts of eyes to Kaa from The Jungle Book, who was also a bit of a manipulator and chaos ensuer. Probably my favorite out of all of those was Akimbo the Psycho. I don't know, there's just always something fun about drawing crazy eyes. Do me a huge favor. If you liked this video or found anything in it at all that was helpful to you, please hit that like button, drop me a comment, subscribe. That little bell down there, it lets you know when I post new videos. So if you tap that, you won't miss a thing. But yes, please do me that solid of liking this video. Maybe even show this to some friends of yours who want to get into drawing. You're the best. See you next time.